It's a bus. It's a car. It's a bike. A wheelchair. It's transportation options. But what are they? In today's episode of Transportation Talk, Kathy and I try to answer that question. Let's get to the talk.
Good morning, Jason. It's so exciting that it's time for another transportation talk. I'm so glad to talk to you today.
Hey, good morning to you, Kathy. Indeed. It is a wonderful day. It's great to open up the day and talking with you about transportation. It's just one of the best topics that we can talk about. And I'm excited. We've got a good show in store and all that kind of stuff. What do you think about it? I mean, we're going to be talking about a really cool program here, right?
Yes, and your question that you asked is one that I get all the time. Sometimes people actually say it out loud, and other times it's just their look that tells me that that's a question that they have. When I say, "Hey, I'm a transportation options specialist," they get this like glazed over blank look and they're like, "What the heck is a transportation option?"
Yeah, what is it? What is the transportation options? Yeah, and I did promise the people in the intro here that we were going to explain that to them. We were going to kind of do a wonderful deep dive here and explain some of the cool aspects behind it and stuff. So I really can't wait to really understand and learn along with everybody out there, what a transportation options program actually is. So Kathy, I have to ask you right off the bat, we do very similar jobs, don't we? I do mobility management and you do transportation options. We do this show all the time together, and sometimes it could be kind of hard to figure out, well, they work together. Is it the same program and stuff like that? I mean, aren't they the same thing? I don't know. I mean, how can we explain that to people out there?
Well, I would say they have things in common. So things in common are we both are all about helping people get to where they need to go. I mean, that's the bottom line. Those things we definitely have in common. Indeed. And I would say your program, as you would describe it, is you're helping people learn how.
That's right. Yep.
So if they have never ridden a bus before or they don't know how to read a bus schedule, something like that. Those are the things that you would help them with. Sure. Whereas my program is more about, okay, you live in Astoria and you'd like to, on a daily basis, get to Seaside. What's out there?
Yeah.
You're familiar with riding the bus. You're familiar with driving in a car. You're familiar with bicycling. You're familiar with walking. But you may not have thought of those as options as to how to get to work. And so, or to, an appointment or to your friend's house, all of those things. And so transportation options programs is about coordinating and putting together those pieces so that you can get there, hopefully, without driving in a car by yourself. Hopefully, by saving yourself some money, saving a little wear and tear on the environment. Those are the types of things that transportation options does.
Well, that's pretty cool. And, watching you work and seeing all of the communication that you have with the community and how it does impact. So, I mean, creating a transportation option or helping someone find for the first time or discover a new way to get to where they need to go. I mean, for most people is, hey, I walk and I ride in a car or drive a car. And there's just so much more out there and stuff. And so, if you could, Kathy, really kind of put in really good context, if you could, what the transportation options program really is all about as it is to us here locally. And I know it's a statewide program as well too. So, what does all of it mean?
So transportation options, especially here rurally, starts out with education, doing a lot of outreach and education and setting the perspective, changing people's mindset about what a transportation option is. And when we talk about that, we talk about the fact that, people just don't think of the fact that they can use their own power to get from one place to the other, whether that's biking, rolling, you know, jumping on a bicycle, using a wheelchair, using your feet, using a scooter, throwing on those roller skates, you know, any of those things are transportation options. So it's kind of, in that sense, changing of a perspective and opening up that mindset about what transportation is. And on the other side, it's also the potential of creating new options. So we have people out here rurally that have been carpooling for years. You know, they've just done it. They do it with coworkers, but not everybody does it anymore. It's not, you know, in the 70s during the gas crisis, it became a big thing and lots of people did it. And then it kind of, you know, kind of faded in the background. Cars got more fuel efficient. Then we had the pandemic. Everybody was in their own bubble. So now gas prices are back up again, and it would be a great time to start maybe trying carpooling. And if you're an employer or you're working for somebody that's a larger organization and you know a lot of people kind of come from the same general area and to get to work, or would, if they had the opportunity, then work in a place that was a little bit further away from them. Well, van pools are a really legitimate way to get back and forth from home to work that people might not think of as something that you can do way out here rurally, or in the boondocks, as we like to think of boondocks, as we like to think of it. So, but it is a real option.
That is so cool. And you know, with everything, you know, what I'm kind of getting here, and correct me if I'm wrong, is it really feels like I can just simply use my car less in a lot of ways. I mean, I have a car. That's all I use. I drive my car. But it just seems like if I had more options available to me, or at least became aware or learned how to access more options, that I just simply use my car a little less than what I do now.
Absolutely. And in a car, absolutely. And a car is a large expense. That is a really big part of a lot of people's monthly budget. And imagine if you had these other options that you were able to take advantage of. Either A, you could reduce the amount of time that you used your car, which then reduces the cost of having a car. Or maybe if you're, you know, your family has 2 or 3 cars, maybe you reduce the need for all of those cars and you bring it down to just one. Think of all of the money you'd be saving your household if you didn't have to drive every day.
You remember we had that conversation. We had a really cool guest on. I think it was a few weeks ago, maybe more than that. But his name's Scott, and you know he's an avid cyclist, and he's just getting into e-bikes now. And we mentioned how he just had to make that decision. He just had to say, you know what, I just need to know. I'm not going to sell my car. But what I'm going to do, I just need to know that I can just park it, and I'm going to make the conscious decision to ride my bicycle. And that's so true. You know, I just need to make that decision to do that. So how do you connect, Kathy, other people, or how would I connect to a transportation option? Let's say like a van pool. Well, how does that happen?
Well, I mean, there's multiple different ways. For most of them, the first step is contacting me. And so you can contact me using my email. You can call me. You can message me on Facebook. You can message me on WhatsApp. I will answer all of those. And we can set up a meeting. If it's you and you work for a larger employer and you want to get that employer on board, well, maybe I'll set up the meeting with the employer and get that ball rolling. It always helps if I can say, hey, some of your employees were asking me about, and we can go from that direction. If you're an employer and you think this might be a great tool to be able to get or retain employees, let's talk. Let's do it. Let's set something like this up. But, you know, get in touch with me and we'll see what we can do.
Well, Kathy, it's really exciting. You know, we're going to be, as we move into the show, we're going to be talking about a variety of other things. You know, we're going to end this segment and we're going to go right into, you know, how does, you know, really the public utilize transportation options? I think that's going to be a great subject to dive down into. So if everybody just sticks with us, we will get you into the next subject to talk about, again, the public use of transportation options.
Hey there. I'm Kathy, and I want to help you reduce your stress, save some money, and live a little healthier using the Transportation Options program. Did you know that there's transportation options that you might not even ever thought about? Like walking. How about taking the bike out of the garage and taking a quick trip down to the store or farmer's market. Form a carpool with people that live next to you. Hop on the bus. Or telework. Teleworking has made great strides in the last few years. Okay, give me a call and let's figure out what transportation option might be right for you.
So Kathy, I'm telling you, we've had a really good start to the show. You know, you just had so many great things that you talked about, you know, regarding, you know, what the transportation options program. You gave us, you know, really that first course of what we are learning here about the program. And I have to say, having always worked with you, you know, in the last, I can't remember how many years it's been quite a few years, as our programs have worked together, it's really cool to hear these things again and to hear them from the standpoint through this show. You know, like I'm trying to learn with everyone else out there, I hope, the information that you have. So in this case, though, I'm the public, okay? And so I want to take advantage of what I just heard. I thought, wow, that's really great. I want to access and utilize that program. So really, you know, how does the public use TO, and what does it actually mean to say that transportation option programs actually extend beyond transportation? I don't know much about what that question is, but I don't know. What do you think, Kathy?
So to me, I would say that question means, you know, what else am I doing besides helping people get to where they're going or ride, or, you know, because there's more to it. The reasons behind it are so much bigger, you know. So transportation options includes talking to people about improving safety and their health and money savings and stress reduction and all of those different things. And so, you know, I find myself going to a lot of meetings, and on the surface that may seem like a big time sink just going in and listening to others talk. And often it gives me the opportunity to talk to people that are decision makers about how to improve safety and how to improve access. And that means thinking of people and trying to frame the conversation around people not being required to have a car to live in our communities. And so in order to do that, we have to improve sidewalk conditions, lighting, bus stops, amount of transit, you know, bicycle paths, how people get to school, housing developments and how those are set up and where they're set up, you know. So there's lots of different elements, and that's the planning part of it. But then there's the health part of it.
Yeah,
you know, what does it mean to somebody to be able to safely walk to where they're going rather than drive? I mean, breathing fresh air, reducing congestion. Jason, I could go on and on.
Yeah, and it's great because there's just so many things, and I think you've touched on, you know, one of the, you know, really really important things is you know, really improving the access, you know, to all of the variety of transit options that are out there, whether or not it is a bus, whether or not you are deciding to maybe scoot on a scooter to work, ride a bicycle. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of people in our community who happen to use wheelchairs. You know, their mobility is as such that using a wheelchair is much better for them, and that is their option. They choose to get out there and do that. So it really sounds like, you know, it's a desire of the TO transportation options program is to improve that, though, is to take what's there and make it even better, and stuff. And so you mentioned one thing about saving money, and I know that especially during these times, and with gas being as high as it is, and you name it, whatever. But how does transportation options help people save money? I don't get that.
Well, it takes down the barriers to using something other than a car by yourself,
Oh,
because
there we
that
go.
is, again, a huge expense. Maintaining
Hmm.
and then gas expenses,
Right.
insurance, and all of those things are all based on usage, really. And if you're driving your car every day, your costs are pretty high. But if you're using your car maybe once or twice a week instead of 7 days a
Hmm.
week, well, then you will find your overall car ownership costs going down. And
Gotcha.
then also, as a side benefit, if you're using bicycle or walking, your health is improving, which then reduces other kinds of expenses as well. So,
Sure.
it's kind of one of those a stone in a pond ripple effects.
Yeah.
You make one little change and watch how other things will change to go along with it and improve and get better.
So Kathy, so when I ride my bicycle, that
Mm-hmm.
keeps I have sore knees. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that my doctor told me a while back was that part of what helps reduce the pain in the knees is to actually use them, to keep
Mm-hmm.
them flexing, to keep them
Mm-hmm.
doing what they do best. And so when I ride my bicycle, for me, that's very low impact. It also gets me to where I need to go. Um, but it sounds like from what you were just saying as well, and I totally get it now, is that it helps me physically, by
Mm-hmm.
getting out there and utilizing that transportation option, a
Mm-hmm.
bicycle in this case. It helps me stave off maybe a little bit of pain by keeping my knees fluid and keeping them working, I would guess. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that's pretty cool. So how does how does the people out there in this community learn more about TO?
Well, we have a website. So the Northwest Transportation Options website is connected to the Sunset Empire Transportation District's website. And there's a whole page about transportation options. And on that, you'll find my contact information. The other thing is right here on Facebook. If you're watching us on Facebook, there's also lots of information. Scroll through the posts. You'll find out lots of information. Give me a call. Or you can look on GetThereOregon.org's website. There's also information there. So there's information all over the place. And if you
Cool.
need a little guide, you need a little helping hand, give me a call or drop me an email and I'm happy to walk you through it.
That's really cool, Kathy. Staying in communication with our public is so important, and there's so many great ways for them to get in contact with you. Hey, we're going to go ahead and get out of this segment and get ready for our next segment. But as we move into the next segment, this one we're going to have a little special part. It was back a long time ago when we filmed this, Kathy,
Little
and it was so
flashback.
much fun. So everybody, just enjoy this next clip, and we'll see you on the other side.
What is transportation options? And what do I do at Sunset Empire Transportation District? Transportation options in the world of mobility refers to all the means to get from point A to point B. So cars, vans, buses, bikes, skateboards, scooters, and your feet. My goal is to move people from using single occupancy vehicles, one car with one person, to using more sustainable means of getting around. Sustainable, so that workers can save money on commuting, which means saving gas and car maintenance costs, and also reduce environmental impacts. So I do presentations and outreach events or projects. And you got it, that has changed a bunch over the last few months. Now I reach out virtually, especially on Facebook, to get out information and by attending virtual meetings. And I also am still making plans for what future projects could be. Another part of my job is to support Safe Routes to Schools projects. These can range from helping communities, cities, or school districts apply for ODOT funding to support projects with school districts such as walking school buses, bicycle education and safety programs, and right now especially traffic playgrounds. That's a quick snapshot of the things that I do or can help you with. So if you want to start carpooling or you want to know what a walking school bus is, call or email me and we can make it happen. Wow, Jason, what a great flashback. And that really kind of summed it up
Wasn't
as
it?
to
Yeah,
what transportation options is all about. It
absolutely.
just warms my heart to think about back in those days where I was just starting to talk about these things and really just starting to see how I hoped to impact our community.
It was so cool. You did such a great job back then. We were able to get really relevant and pertinent information um, from you onto not celluloid any longer, onto our cameras. We didn't go that far back, but we're
Nope.
really cool to be able to get that information out to the public in the medium that we are doing. Social
Mhm.
media, YouTube, Facebook, you name it, doing everything that we can to get that out there. And I thought it was just so good to roll into this segment as to why transportation options. I think in our programs, I think a lot of people actually, I'd be honest with you, a lot of other program administrators sometimes forget to ask that question to themselves. Why?
Mhm.
Why am I doing mobility management? Why are you
Mhm.
doing transportation options? So Kathy, really my question to you to start off the segment is, why do you like TO? Why does it drive you? What's the deal with you?
Well, it's to me, it's so easy to be passionate about TO transportation options because it can make such a big impact on so many parts of our community and to so
Yeah.
many people. I mean, it opens the door and has so much potential to create access where there isn't, to allow people to get a job where they didn't think they could, to help employers, to help our environment. If you suddenly find yourself unable for whatever reason to drive
Yeah.
a car, you may feel like your whole world just ended. And I feel like TO is just the thing to really give that hope back to people, to allow them, once you've taught them how to ride the bus and read a bus schedule, for me to say, hey, look at all the things you can reach this way. And it's not just buses. Look, let's set up a carpool. Let's talk to your employer. Maybe there's other people that would benefit from a van pool. Let's
Yeah.
let's see how
Wow.
we can connect a bicycle. It
Mm,
just, we live out
hmm.
here rurally. Maybe you do because I do, because our air is cleaner. We have
Sure.
nice clean water, clean air, it's fresher, but we're a little further away from things. And
Yes, we
so,
are.
we want to keep those benefits and be able to do it without a car.
I think you really, really captured, why a community would actually want a TO program. There are so many benefits, and it's really good that we have discussed some of those things, and really, I'd like to say just scratch the surface, because there's so much more
Mm-hmm.
that someone could do. Watching other videos, talking to you maybe in person or on the phone, and just trying to contact you. But really, why would a community want the TO program? Look, you've already answered it in some ways, but I just really feel like we need to give this another crack, Kathy, as to, we live in a wonderful community like you've described.
Mm-hmm.
So why do they want a TO program?
Well, it helps keep cars off the road. It
Yeah.
reduces parking and congestion
Oh,
problems.
I
It
hate that.
increases access for people to leisure and work activities. It improves health and well-being. It
Hmm.
reduces stress. Who likes to sit in congestion or
Yeah.
circle for parking? It increases the frequency of bus. It just there's so much.
Yeah. And it's so advantageous for
Mm-hmm.
people, to, recall what you just said, earlier about how, losing a car or not having their car or their main form of transportation can be, really daunting for some people. But really hearing you does, it brings hope. It brings a little bit of that feeling like, hey, I'm going to be okay. Let me just give Kathy and the TO program a call. So if that person wanted to do that, if
Mm-hmm.
there is that person that's out there, and let's be honest, in some cases, it can
Mm-hmm.
be a person even in minor crisis or something.
Mm-hmm.
They need to get to work, and they don't really quite know what's available to them. So how do you communicate with the community, Kathy, that important message of, hey, don't worry, I'm here for you. What do you do?
Well, I attend as many community outreach meetings as I possibly can, and granted, over the last couple of years they've been virtual, but you might see me at a farmer's market. I'm going to be at the job and career fair.
Nice.
All of these, any of these types of community events where people get together and you have an opportunity to gather, look for me. I might be there. I'll sign you up and help you get there, and we'll create a network where you can find a ride or set up a regular carpool. If you work for somebody that you think a van pool might be beneficial to, I'll come to you. I'll come to that work site and talk to the employees and employer about setting something like that up.
Sweet.
Just let me know.
Yeah. Just let her know, everybody. I there's just a wealth of information there. You mentioned the Get There Challenge, or can you just briefly discuss, what that is really quick, and maybe if there's something coming up that people might want to be aware of?
So there's the Get There tool that is available at getthereoregon.org, and you can get in there and sign up and create an account and sign up on a ride board, log your trips that you take to and from work with or without a car, whatever tool you use. And then there's the Get There Challenge that happens annually, which is a great way to kind of break the ice into using an alternative way to get to and from work, that then you might earn a prize or get some rewards that way. And that happens every year, at the beginning of October. And so that's a statewide challenge. And if we get some people in there and signed up on Get There, we'll do a local one. We could do it some other time of year. It doesn't have to be tied into the statewide one at all.
Let's do it. Let's do it, everybody. That would be a blast. Keep an eye and ear out for the Get There Challenge coming up. We've just come through the end. It's just amazing how quickly this happens here. But we're going to go ahead and wrap this up on the other end of this really cool little video here. So we'll be right back, everybody.
Nash, is it time to go for a walk?
Getting out and walking every day is not only good exercise, it helps you to get to know your neighborhood. Walking is a form of transportation, so you can get to where you want to go to by using your feet. If you have a pet, taking your pet out for a walk is a great way to get out and getting some exercise. If you're out for a walk, always good to pay attention to your surroundings. Make sure that if you're getting ready to cross the road, you look both directions. When planning a walk, make sure you look at a map as you go through your neighborhood, because sometimes there are off-road paths that you can take. If you're walking a pet, make sure to obey all the leash laws. If you're lucky on your walk, you might actually even get to see some wildlife.
Wow, it's getting close to that time again where we are getting ready to kind of wrap up the show, Kathy. And I tell you, it is an amazing thing how fast time goes, but especially we're talking about transportation options. We're talking about how to get people into different forms of transportation. And I am just excited that we were able to have such a wonderful show about that. And I'm just thank you very much for hanging out with me.
Yeah, I'm so excited that we got to talk about transportation options, and there's going to be less people with glazed over looks when I say, hey, I'm a transportation options specialist out there, and more people that can help me explain to others what transportation options are and how it can help them. What a win-win situation. I think that we really, what a great show.
Yeah, it was a great show, and I look forward to seeing what we can do in the future. I think it's a blast to continue to keep doing this and quite frankly, keep talking about transportation options, mobility management. Hey, we'd have a blast doing that.
Well, Jason, here we are again at the end of another transportation talk. It's been such a great show. I really loved the topic, and I'm so excited that we took time for this today.
Yeah.
What a great job. I can't believe how awesome this has been to be able to spread a little bit more of education about what transportation options are.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kathy, for opening up and really drilling down into what transportation options is all about. And I look forward to this weekend. No matter what is going on out there, I just hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. Just get things done if that's what you need to do. Get out there, have some fun if that's what you want to do as well. I don't know, Kathy, what you got going on this weekend?
Yep. There's lots of fun things happening, and hopefully, fingers crossed, they won't be rained out. I think it's just important to make sure that we remind everybody, click that like button, share this video, help us get the word out.
All right. See you, everybody. Take care.
Have a good weekend.